Pokemon Horizons Episode 8, The Secret of the Unopened Door, just came out. Let's talk about it. The episode begins at night. When Riko's about to sleep, he overhears Friede and Murdock talking in the kitchen. Friede sees him and tells him that it's late so he should go to sleep. They greet each other good night as Roy walks back to his room. In the kitchen, Murdock grabs a bunch of donuts which he, Friede, and Cap are planning to secretly munch on in the middle of the night. We've all had those midnight munchies before, so I totally see where they're coming from. Meanwhile, Quaxly is just outside the kitchen, curious about the conversation. Quaxly is honestly the best buy in the entire show. In the morning, the gang finishes their breakfast with Liko remarking how delicious Murdock's food was. There's one chair that hasn't been occupied yet, and Liko and Roy wonder who it belongs to. I mean, there's only one other person on the ship, so I wonder who it could be. We find out that indeed it belongs to Dot, but she never joins them for breakfast, with Murdock explaining that he wants to make food so delicious that even Dot's gonna come and join them for a meal. It's really nice seeing the other characters on the Rising Voltactors being fleshed out and having other character interests besides Pokemon. It was also just nice seeing them have character interactions with each other and having great development. Anyways, Mollie notices that their food supply has been running low recently, and the girls give Murdock a glare thinking that he has something to do with it, which he does. Friede then basically says, let's not point any fingers, we should just stop at the upcoming town and pick up supplies. Even though it's going to delay their time to get into Paldea by exactly one episode, at the very least it'll give them something to do to flesh out the characters. Well, Friede doesn't say that, but it's basically the truth. As they prepare for their landing, Friede says that Liko and Roy each have a job. Liko then sits on a chair and attends her online class. Anne and her other classmates are attending their class face to face. They were talking about how there was going to be a Nidothing livestream later, and then the class comes to an end. After some time, Roy's online class has also ended, and he wonders when he's going to see Rayquaza again. Friede then says that Rayquaza is said to come from a place that is high above the sky, and a place where trainers have not yet ventured. If you really think about it, think about how many Pokemon we haven't seen yet or haven't yet been discovered. I think that it's going to be held very true at Pokemon Horizons, showing off the Paradox Pokemon at some point. But as Friede is talking, Roy has already gone to watch the nearby city that they're about to set foot on. I love the big brother dynamic that Friede has with both Liko and Roy. It's super wholesome and honestly feels genuine. Before leaving for shopping, the gang first needs to decide which one of them has to stay and watch the ship and do some chores. They do rock, paper, scissors, and Roy is the loser. Roy immediately begs Liko that they switch places because thinking that Rayquaza is nearby, he really wants to go with the gang and search for clues on Rayquaza's whereabouts. He promises to tell Liko a big secret if she agrees, which ends up being about the late night snacking of Murdock and Friede that they were doing and ends up coming into play later. Liko is totally fine with this because Nidothing's livestream is going to air during this time, so she stays and lets Roy journey through the city. This plays a pivotal point in today's episode, but it's really nice to see that Liko and Roy have a very close relationship and they trust each other with even simple requests. They really have a sibling bond and it's done extremely well in my opinion. Seeing as this is Roy's first time to ever go into another city, he is quickly enamored by the sights of the various Pokemon that travel with their trainers, and since he hasn't seen many of them before, that just adds more fuel to the fire. Mollie leads the way to the shop as we see Liko back in the ship, feeding the Pokemon, organizing the laundry, throwing out the trash, and cleaning the floors. Liko remembers her conversation with Roy earlier about the kitchen, so they open up a cupboard and are surprised by Alchemy, who is not happy. They clean themselves up just in time for Murdock to call them, saying that there's a lunch prepared for them. It was cute seeing Liko immediately apologizing about the Alchemy situation, but that wasn't why Murdock was calling. Like, did she really think that Alchemy just called Murdock up and snitched on her? There are 3 lunchboxes that Murdock prepared, one for Liko, one for Ludlow, and one for another person, Dot. Ludlow takes a share while Liko brings Dot's lunch to her door. In our first bit of Ludlow character development, he makes an Oyaji gag. Basically, think of them as a Japanese pun, but they're called Oyaji gags because typically they're made by older men. Think of it as a dad joke, but in this case, an old man joke. He says that Murdock making an e-bento, or a good bento, is an e-bento, or a good event. They are typically followed by a cold response, hence Snorunt filling in the gap. Hopefully you learned a not so interesting fact here at Luap Reviews. If you enjoyed the lesson, make sure to leave a like. Even if you didn't, make sure to leave a like anyways. At first, Dot doesn't answer, but then Liko mentions that she always hears Nidothing's voice in Dot's room, so she assumes that Dot is a fan of Nidothing as well, so she offers them that they watch Nidothing's livestream together. Dot keeps on rejecting her no matter how enthusiastic she is. Nidothing's livestream is about to begin, so of course Dot tells her to leave while she tries to dress herself up as Nidothing, which Liko does and puts the lunchbox by her door. Back to Roy, a salesman who is definitely giving Magikarp salesman vibes, is showing off the crystal ball on Spoink's head. Roy asks him if he saw Rayquaza. At first, the salesman says no, but then he remembers and asks Roy, did you mean a black Rayquaza? Which suddenly gets Roy excited. The salesman says that a young boy came there yesterday and asked the exact same thing. This boy of course refers to someone in the Explorers. But still, he hasn't seen Rayquaza, so back to Liko. Nidothing's livestream has finally begun. Nidothing reads and responds to Liko's comment, which totally freaks her out. What's even cuter is Liko's username. Nyaha ga daisuki, literally meaning the kid that loves Sprigatito. Her question was along the lines of, I have a friend that every time I go to talk to them, they say I'm annoying and I should leave. What should I do? Nidothing's quick response is to say that making friends are like a Pokemon battle, which was a nice save. It was extremely funny to see Liko freaking out that her comment was being read by Nidothing. I can probably say that we can all relate about having your comments read by a famous YouTuber or internet personality and freaking out about it. Back to Roy again, a wild Spearow comes out of nowhere and engages on a battle with them. It attacks with a series of pecks until Fuecoco just one-shots it with Ember. The Spearow leaves and they head back to the ship after purchasing what they needed. At the ship, Roy thanks Dot for the information about the Rayquaza. Roy shines his Pokeball and Liko shines her pendant and they have a laugh. Dot lays on her bed and then receives a text message from Murdock who says he's gonna cook some desserts for her with this new cookbook that he found. So, at night, she sneaks into the kitchen. When everybody's finally asleep, we see Friede and Murdock also sneaking into the kitchen once again. And when Murdock opens the cupboard, he notices that the desserts are gone, which means Dot finally ate his food. Murdock's small dream came true, and I couldn't be happier for him. He really deserves it, and it was such a wholesome moment to see, especially seeing Friede be happy with him. Morning soon comes, and Pikachu and Friede are awakened by the sunrise. Friede uses his telescope to gaze at the horizon, only to see the Paldea region coming closer and closer to them. And the episode ends right there. We finally got an episode without Liko getting into her inner monologue about her and Sprigatito, and it was a great episode. I really enjoyed the character development we got from everyone in this episode. Sure, it was a slow episode all things considered, and while it didn't drive the plot forward, it doesn't matter when we get a chance to view and learn all about the different characters aboard the Brave Asagi. The pacing was really good, the character growth was fantastic, and overall there weren't any complaints about this episode. It's nice to see that Dot is slowly opening up more and more to Liko and Roy, and I'm sure that eventually they're gonna crack her exterior shell and be the ones to make her a bit more outgoing and join in on the Rising Voltacular's breakfast. I give it about 10 or 20 more episodes before she at least occasionally leaves her room. I do think that it's going to be a funny recurring gag of them not knowing that Dot is Nidothing for quite a while, maybe until the very end of the series. With that being said, my rating for this episode is an 8 out of 10. Yeah, like I said, it was a well-paced character growth driven episode. The next episode has our protagonist finally arriving at the Paldea region, with Dot even leaving her ship and showing the Nidothing costume the Paldea surrounding. I wonder what that's about. Is Paldea her home region? We get to see that Liko's home is the same, or at least very similar to the ones that the players have at the start of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so that's a nice nod. We also see that her family owns a Fidough, which is probably going to play a lesser role of Yamper for this season if I had to guess. There's like next to no chance that this Fidough is going to join her team in my opinion, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Please, Pokemon Horizons. We get a look at Liko's father, whose name is going to be Alex, and it looks like he's going to be a bit strict on Liko, perhaps asking her to stay at home in Paldea seeing as she's just attending online classes. I wonder if the fact that she's on the Rising Voltaculars will be made known, or if Friede is going to say that it's prohibited to say that she's with them. Finally, we get a Lechonk rushing towards her, perhaps having Liko face off against her first wild Pokemon. Will she catch it? I doubt it, but then again, it wouldn't surprise me. I think Lechonk would be a great addition to her team, and in the long run, I think Oinkologne would be nice too. Big shoutouts to everyone for joining the Peachy Bros server. We have now passed over 1,000 members, and I truly appreciate you. Today's question of the day is, between Fidough and Lechonk, which of these two would you rather have join Liko's team? For me, Fidough makes the most sense, and Dashbun is a great Pokemon. What do you think the answer is? Let me know using hashtag QOTD in the comments below, so I know you're a real one. And of course, if you made it this far into the video, I want to say that I truly appreciate you. But with that being said, it's been your boy Luap, and I'm out. Peace.